Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we're going to take a look at what the Grey Widowers are. Among the most unusual, grotesque, and deeply unsettling horrors that emerge from the pages of The Mist, one of the most chilling and disturbing works ever written by Stephen King, there is a creature that not only defies human logic, but seems to have been ripped straight out of a cosmic nightmare. The dreaded Grey Widowers. Imagine a spider, but not just any spider, not the size of a hand, nor a cat. We're talking about a beast whose body reaches proportions similar to that of a medium-sized dog. Its limbs are numerous, jointed at multiple points, and move with an almost liquid fluidity, allowing it to move with a stealth as chilling as it is deadly. Its appearance is unnatural, as if evolution had taken a malevolent detour in another dimension. However, its most terrifying weapon is not its speed or strength. It's a corrosive web, a viscous fluid that not only traps but consumes. Flesh, bone, metal, everything decomposes before this organic acid that seems to exist solely to destroy. But the horror doesn't end with its killing power. What truly turns the Grey Widowers into living nightmares is their reproductive cycle. These creatures don't just eliminate their victims. They use them. They turn still living bodies into grotesque wombs where they incubate their offspring. The victims, paralyzed by venom or trapped in their burning silk, remain conscious while dozens of larvae gestate inside them, slowly feeding on their organs until the moment of hatching. A slow, agonizing, and utterly inhuman death. To understand the origin of these creatures, we must go back to the breaking point between realities, the infamous Arrowhead Project, in the novel, and also in the 2007 film adaptation directed by Frank Darabont, titled The Mist in most countries. It is revealed that this ultra-secret military experiment aimed to open a breach into other dimensions. What began as a scientific investigation ended up being a doorway to horror. An accident, a storm, an overload, and the veil that separated our world from others began to tear. The result was the appearance of a dense and unnatural mist, accompanied by creatures that do not belong to our plane of existence. Among them, the Grey Widowers. When the mist falls over the quiet town of Brickton, Maine, chaos erupts swiftly. In the novel, it is described how King's Pharmacy, a local business, remains open as the mist descends. That negligence is what allows the Grey Widowers to enter and establish their hive. What happens inside that store is not just a massacre, it's a metamorphosis of terror. Employees and customers are brutally slaughtered, then used as living incubators. In the blink of an eye, the place becomes a nest, a living trap where horror doesn't just breathe, it reproduces. Later on, a group of survivors led by David Drayton, the protagonist of this tragedy, decides to take a risk and leave the supermarket where they had been taking refuge. They're searching for medication. They need antibiotics and painkillers to treat the wounded. It's a desperate, brave act, but almost suicidal. Upon entering the pharmacy, the sepulchral silence is broken only by a putrid smell and the distant echoes of something crawling. And then, the Grey Widowers attack. 3 members of the group die instantly. Incinerated by the corrosive web, these creatures unleash without mercy. Only a few manage to escape with their lives. Among them, David, but fate has no mercy. Later, during the final attempt to escape, a colossal Grey Widower emerges from the mist. Without warning, it attacks the group and captures Hattie, the young Billy's babysitter. It wraps her in seconds with its burning silk. The woman's skin melts. Her face twists into a grimace of eternal pain as she's dragged, still alive, into the white abyss of the mist. No one can do anything. No one even has time to scream. A little later, when David tries to retrieve Amanda's pistol from the glove compartment of his truck, another Grey Widower appears. This scene reveals an important detail. These creatures seem to hunt through chemical signals. Perhaps they can sense fear. Perhaps they smell sweat. But this time, unable to detect David, the creature slowly retreats. It's the last time the Grey Widowers appear in the novel. In the film version, however, we are shown even more disturbing scenes. For example, it's suggested that the Grey Widowers made it to David's house even before he went out to look for supplies. His wife, Stephanie, was likely one of the first victims. When David returns, her body is found hanging from the ceiling, wrapped in a translucent cocoon, as a warning to anyone who still believes resistance is possible. Another terrifying sequence shows the invasion of the pharmacy. Here, the horror is even more graphic. The bodies are not just dead. They're alive, gestating creatures. The most disturbing moment occurs when the group finds a young military policeman still conscious. His skin is swollen, covered in pulsating bulges. He begs for help. He asks to be killed. It's too late. The eggs hatch inside him. His flesh is torn apart from within. Dozens of offspring crawl out. And his final breath is a whisper of pain and release. The chaos intensifies when Bobby Eagleton and Matlin die trying to escape. Their bodies are reduced to smoldering husks by the burning silk. One of the survivors manages to pierce a Grey Widower with a metal rod, but the victory is Pyrrhic. The place has been overrun. The pharmacy is lost, and the group, diminished and broken, returns with more questions than answers. As days pass, the attacks do not cease. Myron dies, with his face melted beyond recognition. Shortly after, Ambrose Coral is caught and killed in the parking lot. There is no time to pray, no room for heroism. The Grey Widowers show no mercy. They offer no second chances. In the original novel The Mist, written by Stephen King, the Grey Widowers are presented as deeply unsettling entities whose mere presence alters the emotional state of those who face them. They are not simple creatures, but rather a biological amalgamation from some remote corner of the multiverse. Their bodies, coated in a viscous darkness, seem to absorb light instead of reflecting it, as if they were cloaked in a living shadow that breathes, pulses, and watches. Across their segmented skin are scattered small yellow glimmers that appear almost bioluminescent, bright spores randomly clinging to them, vibrating with each movement. These markings only amplify their alien aura, as if they were indicators of an ecosystem governed by laws entirely foreign to our biology. Unlike any terrestrial arachnid, the Grey Widowers do not have 8 legs, but rather 12 to 14 long, slender limbs, jointed in multiple sections. This grants them an exceptionally fluid, almost hypnotic mobility, capable of dodging attacks and traversing vertical or even inverted surfaces with an impossible mechanical grace. Each of these limbs moves with surgical precision, like the fingers of a macabre puppeteer. It's a spectacle that disrupts the natural sense of proportion and symmetry, leaving a profound discomfort in those who witness them. Their eyes, a deep red, do not merely glow, they burn. They have the moist intensity of the inside of a freshly opened pomegranate, as if each one contained a spark of primitive hatred. Although they might be superficially categorized as giant spiders, a closer look reveals something inherently wrong in their design. Their bodies defy any recognizable earthly pattern. There is no harmony, no balance. Everything about them appears constructed solely to instill fear. But beyond their appearance, what truly makes them lethal is their offensive system. From an oval-shaped opening in the center of their torso, something that doesn't resemble any known mouth, they project a sticky, corrosive substance that acts as a web, but also as an acid. This web can break down biological tissue in a matter of seconds, and it doesn't stop there. It can also corrode synthetic materials, light metals, and even glass. It's a blend of biological weapon and industrial fluid, and when they attack, they do so accompanied by a piercing shriek that drives itself into your ears like a rusty saw. This sound, similar to a feline screech, but distorted by impossible frequencies, seems to originate from another plane of existence. A sound that awakens something primal in the human brain, the instinct to flee from the unnatural. Now, in the 2007 film adaptation of The Mist directed by Frank Darabont, these creatures are given an even more grotesque and visceral visual reinterpretation. On screen, their appearance is more insectoid and demonic. The texture of their skin is rough, marked by spines, crusts, and protrusions that look like they evolved in a hostile environment, a world where the only rule is the survival of the cruelest. The coloration is muted. Gray tones, earthy browns, and sickly greens dominate, giving them the look of walking decay. They no longer have 14 legs, but 8 long and sharp, like curved blades, limbs that serve both for movement and for attack. Their body design blends elements from several species. Their abdomen resembles that of a giant wasp. Their thorax looks like the torso of a mutated praying mantis. And their head is the most disturbing feature. It has a humanoid shape, with a barely concealed bone structure beneath chitinous plates, and 4 incandescent eyes that burn like red-hot coals. That multiple, empty, searing gaze seems capable of penetrating the mist itself and staring straight into your soul. The sounds they emit in the film expand their arsenal of horrors. Guttural growls, wet clicks, bone-chilling shrieks that vibrate in your chest like an inhuman cry. They are voices from another world. And while they still use their corrosive web as their main hunting mechanism, the film introduces an even more terrifying element: their reproductive cycle. The cinematic gray widowers implant their eggs into living bodies. The victim, paralyzed but conscious, feels their body swell with pulsating lumps. Within hours, these bulges beat with a pulse of their own because they have won. The offspring, perfect miniatures of their mothers, begin to tear through muscle and skin to escape, causing a horrifically slow and painful death. One of the most grotesque moments in the film occurs when a still-living soldier begs to be killed before the hatchlings finish tearing their way out of his flesh. No one manages to help him. No one arrives in time. Unlike the book, where this process is only hinted at, the film doesn't shy away from showing it in full brutality. The females use the host's body heat to accelerate the development of their larvae. When they emerge, they do so with extreme violence, breaking bones and shredding organs in a visceral dance of blood and birth. In both literature and film, the Grey Widowers represent a threat that transcends the physical realm. They are the reflection of mankind's mistake in exploring what should not be touched. Their adult form can reach the size of a large dog, although there are visual accounts in the movie suggesting that some versions of these creatures grow as large as a van. Their size grants them not just brutal strength, but a presence that dominates their surroundings. When one moves through the mist, it can be felt. The ground vibrates, the air shifts, the silence warps. They are not clumsy or purely instinctive beasts. They are fast, strategic, with an unnatural agility afforded by their segmented structure. In the pharmacy scene, for instance, they display a level of rudimentary intelligence. They hide above in the shadows, waiting for the human group to relax before striking with surgical precision. Their vision is limited, and yet they are no less deadly. Their orientation system relies on smell, sound, and probably chemical stimuli that we still don't understand. They can detect sweat, breathing rhythms, even micro-vibrations in the ground. In the mist, where other beings would be blind, they hunt with chilling efficiency. Their corrosive web remains their main attack method. When projected with force, it acts as a net of acid that not only entraps, it annihilates. On contact with human skin, it causes deep burns immediately. A single shot is enough to disfigure a person. and if the impact is direct, death is inevitable. However, they are not invulnerable. Their physiology, as strange as it is lethal, also has weaknesses. Their lack of vision can be exploited by those who know how to move silently. Stealth is as powerful a weapon as any shotgun. They are also susceptible to physical damage, particularly from blunt weapons and fire. In fact, extreme heat appears to be their greatest enemy. A single blast or explosion can cause their exoskeleton to crack, ignite, and disintegrate like an insect caught beneath a magnifying glass under the sun.